Hi everyone, this is Spring Washam and welcome to my treehouse temple. Hi everybody, this is Spring Washam and I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. I am a teacher, a healer, and an author, and I teach meditation retreats and I do lots of healing works, and I work with people from all over the world. And today I wanted to make a video particularly about a topic that is hard for so many of us. So if you've probably clicked on this video, you're probably dealing with some kind of breakup or breakdown. And breakups often lead to breakdowns. You know, this is kind of the way life is. And with my students, I always talk about, I always tell them, don't shut down the breakdown. Whatever is trying to unravel, just let it, right? But that's an easy thing to say, much harder to do. So I want to talk about the benefit of these breakups that lead to breakdowns, and sort of the benefit. I know it's a weird thing to think about, the benefit of kind of a breakdown, and what does that mean on multiple levels. So I don't know about you, but one of the hardest things that I've ever had to deal with were moments that relationships ended, especially long-term relationships, or it could be even a short-term relationship that just ends, right? And relationships are always very different. They always teach us something, and there's always a process of letting go. I think for a lot of us, what's hard about breaking up is that a part of our identity is connected to that relationship, right? We define ourselves in that person's interaction with us in some way, and we get attached to it. Even bad relationships, as we know, even toxic relationships, even abusive relationships, violent relationships, we can get attached to. And I think for so many, when we go through a breakup, even if we initiate it, there's still a lot of grief and despair that we have to feel, right? The attachment and what a person represents. Oftentimes I notice for myself that my most difficult moments in my relationships were because the person really triggered a lot of my childhood feelings. You know, my father left when I was at a young age, so relationships would bring up a lot of abandonment. And if I hadn't dealt with those things, or it wasn't fully healed in me, it was re-triggered by the relationship. I'm sure you all know what I mean by that. You know, maybe you're having a conversation with your partner and suddenly it's almost as if you're back in time, right? Relationships are mirrors to our wounds and mirrors to where we're healed and we're expressing all of our love and joy and happiness. But breaking up can feel very painful. It can feel like we're dying because some part of us is very connected to the other person still. Even when we break up, even if you break up a long time ago, have you noticed that? Especially during this time, many people are saying, you know, I'm thinking about my ex-husband, my ex-partner, and we're still resolving things in our hearts and minds. You know, it takes a lot of time to let go. And dealing with that attachment is something really important to think about. How we let go and being patient with ourselves. You know, when you're in the grip of a breakup, I know for myself, I literally felt my heart every day as if there was a wound. It was a tear. I remember I had fallen madly in love with this man from Australia that I had met in South America, and I really wanted to marry him, and he was coming to visit me, and he flew across the world, and I was so excited thinking, oh, maybe we'll get married. I had never wanted to get married before. This was the first time I even had that thought, you know, so you know I was head over heels. And I remember the day after he arrived at my house, he basically told me, I'm in love with this other woman and I want to marry her. I remember I just fell on the floor, literally, my heart. And I lost my appetite. Some people lose their appetite. Some people, eat a lot of food as sort of like a way to anesthetize themselves. Like we numb it. I tend to go to the opposite side, just not eating, not sleeping, and it was so challenging. But it's important to allow yourself to feel that. Right? Don't rush out into another relationship. Don't try to spiritually bypass it, right? There's a healthy process of grieving, honoring the relationship, and letting go, right? And it's important that we kind of go through those steps. It was important for me at moments to do ritual to help me let go. I remember I had a photograph and some items, and I took it out to this forest at the back of the retreat center. It was actually at Spirit Rock Meditation Center. They had this beautiful altar, and I put the objects on the altar, and I did a sort of like a severing. So one thing that can help is that you imagine that the energetic cords are being cut. When we're in long-term relationships, when we've merged, when we've married people, real marriage or energetic marriages or long-term partnerships, we have these connectors. We have these cords, right? Us to them and them to us. And part of our work is to start severing those energetic cords and pulling that energy back into ourselves. It can hurt at the beginning, but as you go along and you do this as a visualization, it can be really helpful. It can also be helpful to begin to take any items out of your home and shift your home right away. If the person lived with you or you have a lot of memories associated with your home, really important to change the whole energy of your home up. Removing items, giving away items that maybe have symbolic meaning for you. I remember it was very hard for me even to sleep in my bed, right? It just reminded me of my heartbreak, right? It was like, oh. So it's okay to feel that. Know that those feelings are temporary, right? And so getting rid of objects, clearing objects that have a lot of meaning, photos, all of those things I would either throw away or box them up in some symbolic way so they're not in your eyesight. If you feel like you need to keep certain items, I understand, but know that that comes from kind of deeper levels of attachment. So at a later stage, you might want to go back to that. Also, the important thing to know is that when you're having a heartbreak and you feel like you truly are in a death experience, the main thing is to understand, my friends, I tell you this with all truthfulness and all sincerity, it doesn't stay like this. And for some of you who might be watching this and maybe day 8 of the worst breakup of your life, and you can't even imagine surviving till day 25, you will. All breakdowns, all breakups, anything that leads to us having a breakdown is actually a huge, you could say like a spiritual initiation. You will grow from this, right? We fall flat, we fall on our face, we're down for the count. I know for me, I just laid on my bedroom floor, and you might have to experience so much emotion. Allow yourself to do that. Don't be hard on yourself sometimes these breakdowns are a total. You can't really get up. You can't function. You're almost like you're in a hospital, right? Something really has been broken. And what happens is over time, it heals. It doesn't stay, right? It comes back together. The emotions won't stay like that. The experience won't remain like that. It's really important to know that you will love again, you will recover. Working with your despair and your grief is really about doing 2 things. Meeting it, being present with yourself, patient, and also developing a lot of compassion. Now I have a lot of videos. I have 2 videos on my channel about compassion and even a guided meditation on self-compassion. I think when you're in times like these where it feels like there's a breakdown, you have to be able to learn how to be able to love and self-soothe in moments where you just feel out of control sorrow, out of control grief and despair. Breakups make us feel like, I want to die. I can't do this. The breakdown is that I don't want to live without this person. I don't want to live without this partnership. I don't know who I am. But the breakthrough is that you discover who you are, right? You discover your deeper roots, right? My biggest breakups have always led me to somewhere magical. The guy in Australia who came and broke my heart, oh yeah. You know what happened? I entered into one of the most creative periods of my life. I finished my book, A Fierce Heart. I founded an organization in Peru. It was almost like out of the ashes, out of just complete despair, the universe picks us up. And that's what always happens. We get picked up, put back together again, and that's the human spirit. It always wakes up. There's always a new day, brand new sun, brand new moon. And so in this moment, you may be so deep in the destruction process that you can't even imagine a new day, a new sun, and a new moon. But you have to see it even though it's not there yet, right? Even though it hasn't risen. This is where hope and love comes in. You know that it will be there. So compassion practices are really key. I guess the last thing I will say about breakups and breakdowns and breakthroughs, we're using a lot of breaks because again, the metaphor of something being torn, oh man, it really fits. It energetically fits. That's why it's so appropriate, is to surround yourself with a lot of loving people if you can. And I know right now it's 2020, we're in a pandemic, but reaching out to friends, reaching out to your spiritual communities, meditation, yoga. I know sometimes that feels like the last thing that you want to do, but rest assured, you are not alone. If I was to talk to all the people right now in the world who are experiencing something similar, there would be just millions upon millions. So reach out and know that you're not alone. You'll get through this. Be willing to feel it, be willing to work with it, be willing to allow the healing of the breakthrough to come forward. Ask the universe, what would you like me to do now? Right? If you feel like you don't know who you are, trust that your new path will emerge, right? It's always through the dark night that the dawn is so beautiful. So those are just some encouraging words that I have for you, community and friends all over the world. And I do understand this one so deeply. If you read my book, A Fierce Heart, you'll read about all my breakdowns. I was always breaking down. I still am. But they're different now, truly they're shorter. I really do see them as breakthroughs, right? And something that needs to be broken, I just accept that. Whatever needs to unravel, I let it now. And I trust that love and compassion, the soul force, will carry me through any difficult time. So I send my love to all of you who are experiencing this. And if you like this video, you can just give it a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel for more uplifting content. So namaste, everybody. Thank you very much.